Chelsea returned to the Premier League under the cloud of a two-window transfer ban, but with a new manager at the helm, as a club legend, Lampard will have fans on his side from day one. Maurizio Sarri guided his side to third place in the Premier League and a Europa League win during a turbulent season that saw some supporters in open revolution against his methods. The Blues will want to quickly move on and have the potential to launch a new-look side with their squad of talented youngsters. But what should Chelsea do next to develop? We've spoken to fans and journalists, the people close to the club, to get their view. Let us know yours in the comments below.
I think what next for Chelsea is it's a new era. It's basically they're coming into this. We're now seeing a generation of managers up and down the country that used to be players that that I grew up with, especially, and the fact that they're now turning into managers for their home clubs. I mean, Frank Lampard is a rookie, really.
I think that they wanted Sarri to stick around at Chelsea. The original plan was, we want a guy who can build something for 2-3 years, and now they've got Frank Lampard in. They've had to, their hands have been forced. Juventus have gone and signed their manager, so they're going to go and sign Derby County's manager. Now, can he stick around at Chelsea and do something no one else really seems to do? I mean, 2 years is an achievement at Chelsea. To survive for 2 years, I think Frank Lampard will get 2 years, even if he does badly in the first season. And that might give Chelsea a chance to close the gap on Man City and Liverpool.
To have Frank Lampard come in to boost the morale of the club, for the atmosphere to go back to being, super positive, because the last couple of seasons fans have not really felt the heart and soul in the club, I would say. And that's just, due to us not being happy with how we've played, with team selection, with the managers that have come in, with the style of play that's been introduced, because it hasn't actually worked. I think if it pays off, obviously that's a great thing. But for us, it's just not really been the same as, for instance, Mourinho's first spell at Chelsea. That was when the atmosphere was, popping, or Carlo Ancelotti. And we haven't really had that buzz around the club for quite a few years now.
He's had 1 year at Derby County, which went pretty well. 6th in the Championship, obviously losing the playoff final. But for Chelsea, I think the whole point of Frank Lampard coming back, and the likes of Petr Cech coming back into it as well, and bringing back Jody Morris as well as an assistant head coach, is the fact that it's just sort of getting that feel-good factor back around Chelsea, around Stamford Bridge.
Turmoil and change is normal for Chelsea, but I think they're trying to get away from that in the long run. I think, with Antonio Conte, they were trying to find a manager that they could believe in and stick with for a number of years, but they fell out with him. And then Maurizio Sarri, and it looked so great for a moment, but it all fell apart in the winter period. They felt like they weren't getting his tactical plan. They were supposed to get better and better, but they were only getting worse and worse.
With Maurizio Sarri, he had an idea, he had a philosophy of playing, but the crowd, particularly home and away crowds, the match-going supporters that were there, just never really bought into what he was really trying to bring.
It was a mutiny. People use the word mutiny. Kepa had a big outburst in the Carabao Cup final. It's just the chaos that we expect from Chelsea.
And it was a completely up and down year. It was an unbelievable roller coaster, really, from, as we say, a fantastic start where they got 18 wins, or 18 games unbeaten on the bounce. And then they had some massive lows around January, February time.
A humiliating 4-0 defeat to Bournemouth, 6-0 defeat to Manchester City. The fans started to turn against Sarri, and it didn't look like they were going to achieve anything. Of course, in the end they did.
And then picked it back up again to clinch a Champions League spot and the Europa League win.
I think the main thing is Frank Lampard coming in is going to be such a wonderful addition. It's going to be something completely different. I'm not saying that it's going to be the dream, because he is going to have such a hard job. He's got a transfer ban for a whole year.
The latest with that is that they have gone to the Court of Arbitration for Sport to try to get the ban overturned, or at least reduced to 1 window. What they haven't done so far, which they could do at any time, is to apply to have the ban stayed or frozen for the summer, which would give them the opportunity while the appeals process goes on, because it could take a few months for this whole process with CAS to go through. But they haven't done that so far, which is quite an interesting move.
I did say, and I have said this before when I've done on my other interviews, that it could be a blessing in disguise for him, in the fact that he'll have a whole year to experiment with the youth, and that's what fans have called for years, for us to use the likes of Hudson-Odoi and Loftus-Cheek and other youths. We've got so many players out on loan, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham. We've got loads of players that we could bring back that could easily do a good job.
If any club can deal with the transfer ban, it is Chelsea Football Club, because they've got 42 loanees that they can draw upon, and they've got this academy that keeps winning trophies. They keep winning FA Youth Cups, UEFA Youth Leagues. They're the most successful academy in England. So I think that the players that I'd expect to come in, and Mason Mount, who worked with Frank Lampard at Derby. I think he's a great fit. He knows the tactical system that he's going to come into. So I feel like that's almost a certainty.
It's an interesting blend of the loan players, because obviously you've got the likes of Timo Bakayoko, who only had one season, and Michy Batshuayi is another one as well. I think there's another one that will be interesting to see is Fikio Tomori. I think that he was on loan, obviously, with Frank Lampard at Derby County. Mason Mount was there, and Mason Mount got a lot of the headlines, and Tomori really went kind of under the radar a little bit, and he ended up being Derby County's Player of the Year. So he's one to sort of watch. I think, is it too early for him to come back and be a centre-back for Chelsea? I think it might just be a year too early, but then in the future, I think he's got a very strong career at Chelsea.
Then you're looking at maybe a right-back. Reece James is fantastic at Wigan. He's genuinely considered an absolute wonder kid. He's talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi, somebody who's going to be big next season. But Reece James is the defensive version of that, so I think he's got a great chance. And then, I think we're looking at a centre-back might come in. There's 3 centre-backs. Gary Cahill has left the club, so Kurt Zouma, who's a massive talent, obviously we all know about him. He's done it at Chelsea before. He's probably the most valuable Chelsea loanee as well. But it's just a case of whether he'll be happy being a 4th choice centre-back.
As far as other talents go, I think the one to really look out for is Tammy Abraham. I know that people obviously know a lot about him, but he's proven that he's a goal scorer in the Championship. He scored multiple goals for Bristol City. He scored 26 goals for Aston Villa last year. He had a disappointing loan spell at Swansea City, but they weren't a particularly great team either. I think he's the one that a lot of Chelsea fans are sort of hoping for to really come through and shine leading the line, because they haven't replaced Diego Costa. Alvaro Morato's failed, Gonzalo Higuain failed. Olivier Giroud has had moments, he's had flashes of really good stuff, but I think they need a proper number 9, and I think Abraham's got potentially what it takes.
I think they might go with both of the strikers. That's Michy Batshuayi, who was on loan at Crystal Palace last season, and also Tammy Abraham, who was at Aston Villa. I think that they could bring both of those in, try them out, see if they can finally show something, see if they can really show their Chelsea players.
I think Frank is the only manager that would know what to do with those players, how to get the best out of them. Him and Jody Morris, who's coached the youth before, will know if he brings him in as an assistant. We'll know exactly who is ready for the Premier League and who is not. So I'm just really looking forward to that. And like I said, I'm not expecting major things in the first season, but it will be interesting to see what he does when he comes in.
Can they get enough goals, especially with Eden Hazard having left the club, Chelsea's top scorer from last season?
He, in a way, is the reason why Chelsea have delivered so much and not delivered so much, because he has the capability to be as good as anybody. And I mean anybody. But he does it when he wants to do it, it feels. So in the big games, who's going to turn it round? Who's going to make the little bits of difference? Is Pulisic going to do it? He's a good signing, potentially, but he was signed in January, so he's going to have to come in and hit the ground running.
Christian Pulisic will definitely be under pressure to replace Eden Hazard. People will look at him. He's a £58 million signing, so he will need to hit the ground running. And that Chelsea have lost their best player in that position that he's likely going to fill. So, I think he needs to get goals, he needs to get assists, but he hasn't really proven that he can get that many, not as many as Hazard, who is one of the world's best players. So he's been signed on potential. Can his potential come good next season? Maybe it's a little bit too early. He will be under a lot of pressure. He plays under a lot of pressure though. He's played for Dortmund, big club, and now he's plays for the US national team. He is the superstar in the US national team. So that is huge pressure, because they're not a great national team. They failed to get to the World Cup. He was seen as a bit of a scapegoat. So he's had a bit of a taste of maybe what's to come in the Premier League, but I think it will be quite difficult. I think that for Pulisic, it might be a tough season, at least to begin with. I hope I'm wrong, but the pressure will be on him, and the jury's out whether he can handle it.
It's quite interesting because Cesc Fabregas was a player who came out recently and said that sometimes there's this void of news when it comes to Chelsea, and it allows speculation and rumour to sort of take charge. And when you've got such a big club like Chelsea, obviously social media blows up with any sort of little rumour that might come from anywhere. Obviously, Marina Granovskaya, who's the main club director who deals with all the negotiations and transfers, she does no interviews. Roman Abramovich is known for not doing any interviews. So obviously there is that void at the top, and you have to just trust people reporting accurately on what's going on with the club.
Chelsea's a divisive subject in general, so Chelsea off the field is a divisive subject as well. Some people will tell you that Chelsea are making terrible signings in the transfer market. Some will tell you they're doing great business. For me, I think that they need to improve in that regard. I think Danny Drinkwater's still at the club. It's been a terrible signing for he barely played for Chelsea. 35 million. Certainly they won't be getting that money back. So and that's just one example of many, I would say. There is good things. The loan system, which is kind of unique to Chelsea, 42 Chelsea loanees, that is working quite effectively. But a problem is with that is that FIFA are looking to curb that and reduce the numbers that the clubs take out on loans. So there will be changes there.
As far as the media goes, it's never quiet with Chelsea, of course. There's always something going on, which is great to cover. But for obviously fans, I think they'd like a bit more stability when it comes to the club and what they're trying to achieve in the future.
I think fans haven't been happy with some of the signings we've made in the last few seasons. We've made some dreadful signings, they've not paid off, or, for instance, the likes of Bakayoko, they come in, they do a really good job, and then all of a sudden it goes south very quickly. I'm not sure whether that's down to poor management. I actually think you can look at it two ways. The board are very impatient and they do get rid of managers very quickly, but at the end of the day, they've made us very successful. What Roman's done is he's done a fantastic job. We've won major league trophies, we've won the Champions League, we've won Europa Leagues. We've won everything that you can possibly win. Especially as a London club, we're the only team with the European Cup still.
There's a bit of confusion as well with Roman Abramovich's long-term future. It appears that he's trying to sell the club, so that's something that might be coming up in the future. And Chelsea was stood in front of Stamford Bridge. They were meant to redevelop the stadium. It was meant to have started by now, and no work's been done. And that's to do with Roman Abramovich's status at the club. It's a political issue between the UK government and Russia, but it's affected billionaires like Roman Abramovich. So Chelsea exists within a strange political system, and all these kind of things just make Chelsea a very turbulent club. And I think they're trying to look for calm.
At the end of the day, their strategy obviously works. It's a bit cutthroat, but I think appointing Lampard says it all, and I think they've got the right idea now, and they're trying to try something different. And with Sarri, it didn't work out, but I think with Frank Lampard, they've obviously got a very good relationship together, and I think that in turn will allow the fans to, be happier with the situation, be happier with how they're running the club.
They're just such a strange club, yet somehow they keep delivering.
I think just getting into the mind of a Chelsea legend is going to be quite interesting. I think that, obviously this is the first time a manager like this at Chelsea has come back and really taken charge. This is a real legend we're talking about.
I think if there's any manager that the players would warm to and respect and be most comfortable with, because at the end of it, Chelsea is a really hard club to play for. There's so much pressure. I think it will be him, and I think he'll know how to really put the players at ease and for them to gain confidence. And I think this is their moment to shine, and hopefully, he's willing to give them the chance to do so, and we can finally start having some players come through that actually do really well for us.
Obviously, he's had some scrutiny as Derby County head coach, but this takes it to a whole new level. There's nothing quite like managing a club like Chelsea or Manchester United or City, Liverpool, Spurs, these big clubs. And it's going to be really interesting just to get into the mind of Lampard and what he sees for the vision of the future. And then how he deals with the pressure, because there's going to be pressure, no doubt about it. He is a club legend, but if things don't go right straight away, then the pressure will mount on him.
Whoever he brings in, whoever he can get the best out of, I think the players are going to really warm to him. I think they're going to respect him a lot more. And I think that there's been a massive disconnect between players and managers over the years, especially at Chelsea Football Club, not just, in all Premiership clubs, but definitely with Chelsea. And I think it'll be so interesting to see how they perform underneath him, because I actually think he'll get the best out of him. And I think we'll see players that haven't performed well in recent seasons really coming out of their shells and doing far better than under the likes of Sarri and Conte.
This is what needs to happen at Chelsea. They need to close the gap, become competitive in the Premier League to win the title, and also become competitive in the Champions League, because right now, before the season starts, they look quite far off to me.
Tammy Abraham spoke in the under-21s about how exciting he is for this new era of Chelsea, the new era of Frank Lampard, because he's finally going to get a shot, and these guys will do. The likes of Mason Mount, Reece James, Tammy Abraham, even potentially the likes of Trevor Chalobah coming back as well. It's exciting times, it really is, and there's a lot against them this year, which I think is actually a good thing for Frank Lampard. It gives him more time to get things right. And I think it's an exciting era that a lot of Chelsea fans are looking forward to.
So that's what those contributors think. Thanks to them for taking part. Let us know your views in the comments below. What should Chelsea do next?